Hi, I'm Corrine Sharp. Thank you very much to Microsoft Canada for having me participate in this amazing small-medium business conversation with so many interesting and valuable topics. My session is on diversity and inclusion in the workplace. Let me tell you a little bit about myself and why this topic is important for business success and has become a passion of mine. I'm one of the founders of the W.I.T Network, Women in Technology. We are a global not-for-profit organization who focus on supporting women of all ages and all stages of their career in the tech sector. We also support organizations who are striving for a more diverse talent pool within their teams and are looking for guidance and support in this area. And we have an amazing Sheinovator Junior Board program so that we can foster that interest in STEM education for high school age girls who are still so often discouraged in pursuing science, math, and engineering futures. Or they just believe it's all about sitting behind a computer coding all day, when in reality, technology companies hire all sorts of roles, and every organization has technology at the heart of their operations. The W.I.T Network has over 3,000 members globally and have local communities in over 30 countries. So let's talk about why business leaders today are building D&I, diversity and inclusion, into their business strategies. Whether you're a large company like Microsoft, who has masterfully shifted their people strategy, or a small 15-person organization who wants a more diverse employee base and is struggling with how to get there. It has been proven diversity and inclusion is good for business. There can be little argument against the value of a diverse workplace. Some would say it's imperative to driving innovation, increasing creativity, and securing market share. But diversity also makes growth and recruitment more manageable and helps to limit the word all employers want to avoid: turnover. Glassdoor did a survey recently, and 2/3 of respondents said the level of diversity was important when evaluating job offers. Hiring employees with differing backgrounds in religion, age, sexual orientation, political affiliation, personality, and education can become invaluable to your organization. Less than 5% of CEOs in Canada are women. Greater than 50% of companies have no female executives. In 2018, a comprehensive study of women's status in corporate North America was sponsored by Lean In and McKinsey. They found that women continue to be underrepresented at every level. Women are less likely to be hired for entry-level jobs, less likely to be hired into manager-level jobs, and far less likely to be promoted. And while I may emphasize the gender imbalance, there are challenges across the board. 22% of people aged 15 years and over have a disability, which represents 6.2 million Canadians. The average hourly wage rate in the employed population 15 and over, men are paid $28.77, women are paid $25.03. What's wrong with that? Yet we are still not seeing diversity at the top or even middle layers within companies with a diverse representation. Does that mean it is not important? Or some may even say that companies are not walking the talk if they're stating they have a D&I strategy, yet there are no women or people of color or someone who identifies as LGBTQ2. Does this encourage people to apply to your organization? I heard recently of a company that hosted a Women's @ meeting. They were so proud of their first meeting to focus on women and inclusivity in their company, until a young woman in her early 20s stepped up to the mic to address the group on stage during the Q&A section. She boldly said, "While the event was fabulous, all she saw on stage were old white dudes. And how could she aspire to be a manager in a company that didn't have any women in management?" The very discussion of diversity can be hard for some groups. Many companies focus on specific diversity initiatives. However, true inclusivity must also address the needs of all workers, including the effects of ageism, disabilities, and immigrant workers. As I mentioned earlier about Canada being one of the most multicultural countries in the world, And for the first time ever, many companies have 5 generations of employees they're supporting. But a diversity strategy isn't just about hiring more women or people with different ethnic backgrounds, sexual orientation, or disabilities. It's about creating the kind of organization that all people will want to join and where they'll want to remain because they know it will give them the opportunity to grow, contribute, and eventually lead and govern. Here's a positive story about a company leader who was so respectful of an employee's religious beliefs. Some religions do not drink alcohol and are so committed to their faith, they're not comfortable being around others who do. They don't pass judgment, it's just part of their religious beliefs. How would you handle this at company events? Well, this CEO first asked the employee because it was important to have their opinion. And the CEO wanted all employees, and often their spouses, to be welcomed at company events. They agreed that for the first 2 hours, company events would be completely alcohol-free. Everyone understood, everyone felt valued, and I believe this is a leader who respects and leads an inclusive organization. So how should a small, medium business organization think about diversity and inclusion? We hear about the large companies in the news doing fantastic work and leading the charge with the D&I conversation. How they are working with their employees with different abilities to shape product design. How their focus on acceptance and working together, independent of your background or orientation, is driving such a fundamental shift in the culture of the business. I am sure it is part of what is driving the incredible success of this company. What can we learn as smaller businesses from the larger ones? We don't have a chief diversity officer or VP of belonging and inclusivity. In many small companies, there isn't even an HR person. It's left up to the CEO and his or her management team to come up with the policies, set the hiring tone, and the diversity within their organization. Here is a top 10 list of ideas to kickstart your D&I initiatives. Number 1. Change your hiring practices with diversity in mind. Building diversity into the hiring process is important, but what does that mean? Obviously, adhering to federal employment equity standards is a good start. Here are a few quick tips. Encourage diverse employees to recruit friends and acquaintances. Meet with cultural organizations for potential applications. They will applaud your efforts with support. If there is a hiring test, see that managers are adhering to it. Harvard Business Review articles noted that even when hiring tests were in place, they were used selectively and that the results were ignored. And a recent SMB survey stated that employees with disabilities are being considered for roles. SAP and Microsoft have both started programs to recruit employees on the autism spectrum, whose special skills are often a great fit with technology work. Number 2, create an employee resource group that focuses on inclusion, culture, and diversity of ideas. You may not have a large enough employee base to create individual ERGs, such as an LGBTQ2, African Canadian, women, Indigenous, or people with various abilities. You could create one employee-led resource group that focuses on how people will work together, collaborate, and support an inclusive culture. Number 3, acknowledge holidays, religious and otherwise, in your office. It's not about abandoning the word Christmas. It can be all about acknowledging all holidays that your employee base observes. Let's be children again and be curious about each other's backgrounds. Instead of avoid, seek to understand and embrace. Number 4, establish diversity policies. Company policies may refer to a wide range of diversity themes, including gender, sexual harassment, disabilities, race, and religion. While the goal is overall acceptance, inclusiveness, and equal opportunity for everyone, managers who have assessed their current D&I state will be better equipped to adjust those policies going forward. Number 5, just because a diversity policy is developed and written doesn't mean it has been clearly communicated, understood, or will be followed. Training is a good way to communicate the policies and the expected behavior with examples and sometimes role-playing. It also explains how to communicate concerns to management when someone may feel attacked, discriminated against, or even unsafe. And that leads us to education. Training on unconscious bias has been popular and quite frankly really insightful, as we all have to look at our own bias that we didn't even realize we had, or that we inflict on our children, employees, and others. But one training course does not make a D&I strategy and an action plan. An effective strategy incorporates training, awareness, and employee-led groups to support your corporate vision. Number 7, hold people accountable. As business leaders, we all know what this one means. As soon as there are cracks in your diversity and inclusion success at any level, they need to be dealt with. Glassdoor bad reviews and poor past employee references can really hurt your future hiring success. I've seen it online in the social circles. Even if you as a manager do not, the chatter is loud out there for bad companies with bad behaviors. Don't let that be your organization. Number 8, offer mentoring programs and buddy systems. Implementing mentoring offers a casual relationship between employees, especially someone new to your organization. The increase of diversity in the workplace represents an inclusivity opportunity, especially for your diverse employee number 1. It is up to you as the leader to ensure they are welcomed and accepted. If you hire your first female employee into a company that may have a strong bro culture, you need to change, not the female employee. If you hire an employee with different religious needs, disabilities, or cultural requirements, just ask and respond with respect. And mentoring programs can support these initiatives. Number 9, be intentional. Be intentional in your hiring practices if you want a diverse workforce. It's okay to state and ask in today's climate. The conversation is happening, so leverage it to be the best business and employer you can be. Be intentional with your management team to hire with diversity when it's time to replace or hire new management, board members, or advisors. And be intentional with your leadership style to create a truly inclusive environment. And if that means gender-neutral bathrooms, rip down those male-female signs. And finally, number 10, evaluate your diversity progress. Many companies use surveys to measure the effectiveness of the organization. Evaluations commonly measure employee job satisfaction, turnover, and satisfaction with the work environment. And some organizations include these evaluations as part of their strategic planning process. If you are doing this, or maybe should be, just keep your D&I focus in mind for question development and how you will respond to both favorable and unfavorable results. As Brené Brown, the author of Dare to Lead, said, employees want to be safe, seen, heard, respected, and cared for. Don't we all? Thank you for being part of this very important conversation about diversity and inclusion in business.